you are there in Jerusalem, in Israel. Obviously, we know there's a major conflict going on there. And that's what we want to really dig into a little bit. So can you just tell us, October 7th, I mean, what was that day like for you? And just what was your experience on that day?
Yeah, so let's jump back to October 6th. This kind of season was the end of what they call the high holidays. So we had just gone through Rosh Hashanah, which is the beginning of the new Jewish year, Yom Kippur after that, and then Sukkot, which is like a week-long festival. So October 7th was the end of the holidays. It's called Simchat Torah. And that's when they actually finished reading all of the Torah, the 5 books of the Bible, the first 5 books of the Bible in the synagogues. And so it's a big holiday as well. So we had the night before done our big kind of feast dinner for Shabbat. And then I had actually, in the middle of the night, my 2-year-old was having trouble sleeping. So I came out in the living room and was with him just out in the living room. And at about 8:30 in the morning, I heard our sirens start going off. Now, it didn't really alarm me in the moment because we do have sirens every once in a while for holidays or memorials, that kind of stuff. So sometimes the sirens do go off. And so I just immediately got up and I went into our bedroom to my husband. I said, Ellie, do we have a siren today? Is that for the holiday or what's going on? And he was like, no, we just need to go and we need to get in the mamad. And the mamad is our bomb shelter. And he's like, you need to get the kids and get into the bomb shelter right now. And so I grabbed my youngest, and our bomb shelter is actually here in our apartment. Actually, almost all apartments, newly built apartments, actually have to have a bomb shelter all in them. So every apartment has their own bomb shelter. And so I went and I grabbed my 2-year-old. We went into the bomb shelter where my 4-year-old was sleeping, and just kind of sat in there and just trying to wake up and figure out what was happening around us. We've had sirens go off here for rockets before, but only once since I've been here, and it was only one time. So we don't get them a lot in Jerusalem. So at that point, I was just trying to figure out what was going on. Of course, you're calling family, you're calling friends, anybody you know, making sure that everybody is in bomb shelters and everybody's okay. And so you stay into the bomb shelter for about 10 minutes after the siren goes off. And so after that, we just obviously turn on the news and try to figure out what's going on and what the situation is. It being a Saturday, that is actually our church day here. And so we were supposed to be going to church. And my husband works at our church. And so he had to start figuring out what was going to happen with church. And so he pretty much got on the phone with his people and then left and got his family and brought them over here. So his mom and dad and sister came over here with us to kind of be with us. They also live in an old apartment building that only has a public bomb shelter at the bottom. So every time a siren goes off, you have to go all the way down to the basement and then you can come back up. So it's a public one. It's not like ours that's here in our apartment. So they came over here to be with us. So Ellie was gone most of the day. And the rest of the day was really just, we had the news on and just trying to figure out what was happening. Like I said, we've had a lot of, skirmishes, things with the South. Getting rockets from the South is not new. And so we were just trying to figure out, and obviously it's just confusion. And so we're hearing that Hamas has taken over the little communities near the border. We're hearing that. We're hearing people on the phone with the TV anchors saying, they've killed my mommy and daddy. I'm looking at them. They're in my house. What am I going to do? And then the phone just go dead. So you have that stuff going on. And you're almost in denial, right? Trying to figure out how this happened, what's exactly happening. So I kind of just feel like the whole day was just a big blur of trying to also keep the kids nice and calm and try to make it as normal as possible for them. And we were also in and out of our bomb shelter, I think maybe 6 to 8 times throughout the day with sirens going off, which is by far the most Jerusalem has had in a very long time. So that was kind of our wake up to October the 7th. It's amazing how one day everything can be completely normal, and then you wake up and then life has just been completely different since that morning.
Well, you get in a situation, kind of what you're describing, it's kind of like surreal. It's like, this is happening, but it doesn't seem like it should be happening. And is it really happening? Am I having a nightmare? Is it a dream or what? So I can imagine the confusion and just the how that might have gone. So I'm assuming as a day went on, it kind of became a lot more clear as to what was happening and what the Israeli response was. And so did anything change? Like as you got into the evening and kind of the reality of everything began to set in, kind of what was that like and what was the thinking there? What might be tomorrow, or how is this going to change things as far as what your thinking was?
Yeah. So as the day went on, and I'm in communication with some of my friends, when I knew it was actually pretty serious was when my friends are saying, my husband's being called up, which you never, I've never heard of that happening. They'll sometimes go to reserve duty to do one or two things, but for all of this mass call of the reservists to come up, we kind of knew something big was really happening. And so at that point, it's just trying to deal with how are we going to help families get their husbands off? What do they need? And also we just didn't know how many terrorists actually got in, where they were in the country. Did they make it further? Still late into the day, they actually had control over many of the communities in the South. They were still fighting them in the South. So as we're doing that, we're just receiving, bits and bits of information. And also with my husband not being home, I'm sitting here trying to figure out, the news is in Hebrew. So my Hebrew level is very small. And so, I'm going off of like pictures and just words that I know, and then just trying to find anything in English or finding out from friends what's happening. So yes, definitely by the end of the day, actually early on in the day, our prime minister came on and just said, we are in war. Like we are in war. He made the declaration right then. And so we knew that it was serious and whatnot. But just trickling of information just started to come in throughout the day of how serious the situation was. Because like you said, it was so surreal in the moment in the morning. Definitely by the end of the day, we started to get a better picture of what happened and what Israel was starting to do as a response.